Alrighty, welcome everybody. I am so excited today to welcome Adrian Lobo here. We are going to have a really deep and really fun conversation about movement mysticism and dance. Wow, Adrian, what a freaking joy, I gotta say, to finally, I don't know if it's been a year or more since this initial idea of having this conversation live happened, but we've had the joy of getting to weave paths, cross paths at many festivals, lots of dancing. And just recently, we were both in Portland at an epic show, so fun. And your movement just inspires me so much. We'll get into this more in a moment, but both of us have a pretty extensive background with martial arts as well as different modalities of dance that have inspired our unique, practices. And I know for both of us, it's very much a spiritual practice. And there's just so much juiciness in there about how energy works, about spiritual connection through the body, about these ancient lineages of martial arts and also cultural dance practices that come from many different parts of the world that inspire our different movement practices. And I know we both get to share these creative art forms in the world, and also we both teach. And I had the amazing joy of getting to sit in or dance in on one of your street dance workshops, which was such a joy, and I learned so much. And so I get to play with those techniques and practices now as well, and I'm out on the dance floor. So welcome, Adrian. Thanks for being here.
For having me. Love to be here. And yeah, it's been awesome to, get that invitation from you a while ago and then suddenly like run into you on all these festival adventures. And it's just interesting how that worked out. It wasn't even planned. And seems like the universe was trying to get us to connect and co-create something. And it's just really beautiful how that serendipitous that has been lately.
Totally, for sure. Yeah, that's true. We really connected a while back, and then I was excited to have this conversation, and then later realized, yeah, later then we got to actually get to know each other and really form a stronger friendship. So, very cool. Yeah, we share so much joy and excitement in the practice of dance that can really be such a powerful spiritual practice, energy practice. And yeah, both of us have a pretty extensive background with martial arts as well as various dance forms and movement forms from different parts of the world. So let's dive in. I would like to hear and also share with everyone where you're coming from, Adrian. Um, you suggested we can focus on street dance and movement mysticism. And so, what's maybe walk us through sort of your trajectory briefly with your movement practice over time, and kind of where that lands you now with your understanding of energy and your personal practice, and especially in regards to spirituality and healing. That's something that really excites me. So I'll turn it over to you.
Nice. Yeah. So my journey with movement began in high school actually with street dance. I wasn't born a dancer and wasn't born into, movement arts at all. In fact, I was actually really like awkward with my body and really shy and didn't want to be in the spotlight at all, even though I like secretly did. But yeah, I was lucky to be born in Southern California, near Los Angeles, where there's a mecca of street dance. And it's kind of like this hidden underground world that isn't known, by most people. It's kind of like this really cool secret universe filled with dancers who are like mutants. They're like superheroes, and they're able to do the most incredible things. And I've been so lucky to be inspired by some of these dance legends and pioneers who really, innovated this form of dance that we call street dance, which is really a general term to describe any dance style that comes from, an urban environment, wasn't born in the dance studio, wasn't born in a college, academic environment. These dances are from people who grew up in the streets, mainly African American cultures and Latin cultures. And there's a lot of different street dance styles, but I come particularly from the niche of what we call popping or pop lock.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's also called animation, another side of it. Um, and yeah, I was catapulted in this world and um, was brought into the community, and I was like a little brother to, many these amazing legends who inspired
Mhm.
me. And a big part of that world too is dance battling, where it's very competitive and it's like a
Mm.
sport. And there's like judges, and they choose who the winner is. And I find that like that competitive environment really fueled me to evolve my craft and my technique and, achieve a level of mastery that I wouldn't have achieved had I not been in that world. Um, but while that was happening, interestingly enough, I was also secretly having what many call a spiritual awakening. And
Mm.
I was really getting into spirituality and consciousness. Before that, I was kind of, I would say, like kind of atheist and nihilistic, not really believing in a purpose to the universe. And I had gone through a lot of depression and experienced a lot of death in my life and a lot of just
Mm.
intense things. But through my journey of dance and tapping into movement, tapping into energy, and also synchronicity, I was starting to wake up to meditation and yoga and breath work. But these things were very like in the closet. Like I was kind of keeping it to myself, wasn't really sharing it with many people. But as I, got deeper into dance, I started to really feel like energy coursing through my veins, coursing through my body. And I was like, there's something deeper here
Mm.
with dancing. I feel like it's not just this
Mm.
superficial aesthetic, art form that looks cool, but there's something more going beyond what we're seeing in the surface. And it wasn't talked about in the street dance scene at all, really. Most people in that world are just concerned with just getting really good skill wise. Um, but I was having these experiences with feeling energy in my body and feeling like I could move energy with my body that I started to ask the question, well, how can I really do this? Like, what is the system that people are doing this with? And I was hearing rumors of like energy healing and, martial artists
Mm.
moving energy. So I started to ask those questions and go down those rabbit holes. And that led me down, a more of a spiritual movement path, which was first, it was yoga. And I took a yoga teacher training and learned the art of teaching yoga and being like a really devout yogi in that
Mm.
sense, doing my mantras and my pranayama and doing deity work, talking to Ganesha, Shiva, Kali, calling in these
Mm.
yogic deities, working with them. But then I eventually found my way into more Eastern Daoist arts, which really took my movement arts to the whole next level, especially in terms of energy work. They have
Mm.
a really deep system of energy cultivation, how to actually move energy through the body. And then I was like really mind blown. And my whole spiritual practice, my movement practice was super leveled up from those lineages. And then it all kind of started to merge. Like at first, my street dance, spiritual life were kind of separate entities, kind of one in the day, one in the night kind of thing. But in 2016, I had a revelation. I was actually training in a temple with actual Tai Chi Taoist monks. And
Wow.
I was in a deep immersion with them. And being there really just healed my soul on so many levels, but also in that moment came through a merging of both worlds of the street and the spirit, as I call. And
Mm.
I was starting to see how these two can be merged, how these two can be taught as a system, and how to refine that in myself and my own practice. And that's when my whole dance school was born, the Dance Jedi Academy. And creating a framework and a way to describe, merging these two forms of movement approaches. And that's where I'm at now, and just doing my best to, spread these teachings and embody these teachings as best as I can through performance art and wherever I arrive.
Mm, mm. Wow. What a beautiful and extensive journey that is. I mean, and to hear that you trained in these, high level spaces with both on the street, these highly, highly talented movement artists who can do, like you said, I forget the word you used, but incredible things with their bodies. And as well as on the martial arts, side with really talented masters who know how, who are, you know, so practiced with ancient wisdoms of how to move energy through the body, right? And then those practices are less about how you look and what the body can do and more about how one can move that energy through the body. And just I love how you brought together the merging of those worlds. um, Awesome. So beautiful. There's many conversations I want to jump into, but I think just to bring the holistic piece of our two-ended conversation together, I'll just sort of name briefly sort of what my journey looked like. And then we'll kind of flow from there. I also was very self-conscious, or I mean, I don't know if you said that word, but I was very shy about my own movement and dancing. I didn't dance, like I did not dance until really, I mean, in high school, I had to take some dance classes, but it was like against my will. And then after college, I started like swing dancing and some Latin dances, swing, salsa, merengue, bachata, those kind of dance forms. But my main background is in martial arts. I started training in Aikido pretty seriously when I was 10 years old. And yeah, I trained for 15 years steadily. I got my black belt first degree when I was 18. And yeah, Aikido really raised me in a way that helped me connect with my body, with my wholeness. It's really about moving. All martial arts, I think, really have this way of being tuned into the whole body, right? We're not just like doing something here or doing something here or punching with the arms. It's like the whole body is moving in harmony, in wholeness together. And a lot of, grounding on the center line and lowering the center, being rooted, while also connecting in a way. In Aikido, it's very harmonious, very flowy. And so we talk a lot about energy and connecting with another person's energy and harmonizing with that energy, lots of spirals. So 15 years of Aikido practice, then transitioned. I found ecstatic dance, which was a really free form movement. I was having a lot of health issues at the time and I was training for my second degree black belt, and yeah, just health issues made it really hard to train. And I found ecstatic dance where I got to be a little bit more free, a little bit more flow, explore my own world and my own movements in a different way with music, which really, inspired a lot of the movement. So yeah, to jump ahead, then it's like 15 years of martial arts and now 11 years of ecstatic dance, where I've been combining it with Reiki energy work that I started learning. Similarly, I was kind of on my own spiritual journey that involved some Buddhism as well as yeah, Zen meditation practices that came into my life through martial arts. And then for my own health, I was started learning energy work and really brought the energy work to the dance floor and brought my healing journey to the dance floor. And the dance space became the place where I did all my inner healing. And different from you, Adrian, all my dance experience is very much about being in the dance for myself. And so there was never any competition, there was never ever any performance, and it was always about my own inward practice. I mean, swing dancing and salsa dancing is a social practice, but the ecstatic dance is really like I was on the dance floor with my eyes closed, hardly connecting with other people. And it's just so beautiful to see our very unique journeys and how they both brought us into a space where dance is a powerful practice of, I love the words you said, then, you started realizing I feel this energy coursing through, flowing through my body. I use imagery and language, kind of talking about a river of energy that's in this vertical column, that flows through us, that flows all through all our limbs. And when we bring in the wisdom of energy work, and similarly um, these Eastern practices, that energy is flowing through the body and we can move it consciously, right? That energy work is about consciously moving that energy. So dance really became about personal healing and directing that energy through intention and visualization to my body, as well as directing that energy outwards towards prayer for the world, healing for the world. I have for me, a lot of my background was like radical activism and spirituality, and finding ways where those connect together. So yeah, Adrian, do you want to take it from there, with, yeah, maybe sharing some examples or experiences, or how the spiritual side and the energy moving through the body, especially with the wisdom that you gleaned from all your study with in more Eastern martial arts practices. What did you learn there? What have you found is like particularly healing for you, in this movement
Mm.
practice, whether it's on the stage or off the stage, because I'm sure it's a different experience, and also energy's moving so powerfully in both those different scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I could answer like twofold. One, like how it affected me internally, and another externally.
Mm-hmm.
So internally, um, I noticed that street dance and the kind of like the techniques we do and the popping and animation side of things, we're doing these movements that are um, like we're contracting and we're releasing muscles in different parts of the body. And I found that like it, in a way was starting to like release energy blockages in my body. And when I got into things like Kundalini or energy work or Qigong, I was much more able to feel and sense certain energetic phenomena that most people would not have felt had they not experienced, had that dance experience. So I feel like dance styles I did really helped me tap in deeper into other spiritual art forms, um, and allowed me to have that bodily awareness that is required for a lot of yoga and in martial arts, energy work, chi cultivation. You need to have really good body awareness and sensing where things are and feeling things and being able to like isolate things. And so like having that dance background, yeah, it really catapulted my spiritual evolution in those movement forms. So I thought that was really cool. And then on the other side of things, the spirituality and movement mysticism was fueling my dance because when I was dancing as a performer or a competitor, I was using like some of the philosophies and techniques from the energy movement arts into my dance to further empower like my performance or further empower my rounds. One of the things in particular was I also had gotten a lot of training with energy work in terms of specifically like Reiki, polarity
Mm-hmm.
therapy, medical qigong. And in
Mm-hmm.
those art forms, they say, okay, in order to move energy, one of the things you do is learning how to open the palms and activate this energy centers in the palms. And we would have exercises where we're like stretching the fascia, the palm, closing, stretching, also like moving the arms and breathing with them so that you're like opening blockages and releasing tension through the energy pathways. And then how to actually send healing energy with intention, using your breath as a way to like emit the energy. So I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
if they're doing this with healing work, why don't I just add that into my performance art or into my own dance practice on myself? And so that's when my whole, journey with creating ritual prayerformance started to unlock and adding in those you know, healing art forms. And then there's other ones where you're like purging energy, where you're like cleansing stagnant energy or toxic energy. Other forms of it would be like transmuting energy from the audience. So, you know, taking the prayers and taking the emotions from the crowd and like bringing it in, dancing it through my body, and then releasing it in a form of expression to help transmute it with whatever their prayers are, or you know, sometimes I'll just say whatever the highest good is for the people here. Please let that unfold through my dance. Um, and so, yeah, those are some examples. I hope that helps answer the question.
You answered so many questions, Adrian. This is like mm, golden to me, and hopefully to everyone listening. I literally just had to start writing notes because there's too many gems you're speaking to. For one, I was hoping you were going to mention what you feel and experience energetically with the pop and lock style, because I've been really curious about that. That's not a practice that I'm coming from. Aikido is very flowy. I mean, we do shift energy, but it's all flowing. You know, there might be a bounce, like if someone's striking and you attack, you know, there you like receive the attack and then maybe bounce it and then return, right? But we're not necessarily like stopping and then moving again. And I have, you know, I actually, I first started learning a little bit of pop and lock from my friend's friend like a really long time ago, but I do play with it on the dance floor, and I really enjoyed learning more from you in that dance class that the street dance class I did with you and the Sacred G's somewhat recently. And yeah, I tend to be a very flowy and watery person, which can be too much, right? It needs balance, right? And so I've been wondering how you experience the energetic healing that can happen with the pop and lock, and the way you described how it can actually undo blockages. Because in some ways, tightening the body can seem like almost creating a blockage or a tightness. But like you described it, there's a lot of healing that can happen when we're consciously contracting and then releasing, contracting and releasing. And, you know, when I'm facilitating and teaching these modalities and guiding dance ceremonies, I talk about how, you know, it's the trauma and the blockages in the body that cause our dis-ease, you know, that cause our health issues on all levels, right? You know, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health is often, you know, because of energy blockages. And so you know, I talk about things like shaking, you know, as a way, or using that intention to kind of stir things up, using music that has really deep, you know, guttural sounds, like using these kinds of practices to shake up and shift and loosen blockages. So I love hearing about that piece too, about how you know, yeah, the contract and release. And I in my I have trained 4 years also in some styles of kung fu as well, and I feel like there's a lot of wisdom there as well, you know, where it's often very relaxed, but then you like will do a tight thing, you know, or in martial
Yeah.
arts it's like your strength comes from being grounded and relaxed, but then be able to like harness that force from your center, you know, and from like quick sudden like contracting and releasing can be a powerful thing. So that's an avenue that I'm, you know, will love to explore more in
Yeah.
my own practices. And then you spoke about opening the palms and how you, oh gosh, just the way you brought that, the energy work that you can do both as a performer and a prayer former, we can say, as a ritualistic, you know, energy dance performer. Well, energy dance is a term that I use for the energy and in dance movement practice, but yeah, it's all energy and movement. So the opening the palms is something I'd love to hear, actually, if you want to share any more about, for maybe folks who are listening who are maybe feel energy when they dance. Maybe people listening feel energy flow through the body and would love some more tips or practices of how do we open the hands. Some people, will talk about rubbing the hands to kind of stimulate and get some heat and friction going. I often start my dance ceremonies with a guided practice where we open the channels of energy, get the energy flowing in through the crown, up through the roots, into the body, to the heart, out the arms, and through the hands, just kind of visualizing that and tuning in through a guided meditation practice. But yeah, sometimes I'll suggest people can kind of even scratch the surface of their hands to start really sensing and feeling that. Because then when we bring the awareness to those hands, we can also, so much of it is the visualization or the where we're putting our attention and using those tools. But yeah, if you want to add to that of some ways that you've learned of
Yeah,
how to really open the palms.
there's one thing you can do where you're practicing stretching the palm open. We
Mm-hmm.
do this a lot in the medical Qigong. So what you want to do is you can do both hands. I'm just going to do one because I'm holding the phone with my other hand. But if you put the palm up and then you want to imagine like the center point in the middle of the palm there, and you want
Mm-hmm.
to try to stretch the fingers in all directions away from that center point,
Away from
and you
here.
want to
Okay.
feel a stretch in the palm. There's like fascia and tissues here, and then you want to
In this
stretch out
part.
open wide, and then you want to relax and come back in and contract and just, fully relax. And then again, stretching out in all directions from that center point of the palm, and then releasing back down again. And just doing this repetitively for, a couple minutes or maybe more before you do your energy work or before you do
Mm,
cultivation. This is going to help kind of just wake up the palm center points so that you can emit chi in a much easier way.
mm,
Sometimes also, before I do that too, sometimes and after I'll shake the hand out a little bit because sometimes the hand can be really tense from our life that we live these days with phones, computers, technology. We're all constantly building up tension through, the lifestyles that we have with these devices. So it's always good to
mm-hmm,
like shake the hands first when you're like doing energy work just to get them loosened up and then
mm-hmm,
going into that one stretch exercise is really good. And then another one is once you've done the stretching, you can go into energy balls and creating energy balls with the hands and practicing with that.
mm-hmm,
And that you just, hold two palms together. Sometimes people like will start close with the other palm and then just playing with creating an energy ball, breathing into that
mm-hmm,
ball, imagining that ball, feeling the magnetic push when you get close to the other palm. And energy balls are a great starting point to, moving energy, creating more energetic phenomena in your body and in your environment.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, hope that helps.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I have kind of flexible fingers is so when I'm doing this, I mean to flex them as far away from this point, they're like
Oh
going all
wow,
over.
yeah,
Is that
that's
fine?
you have very flexible fingers. Yeah, it's not about going backwards. It's more
It's
about
not
like
about
fanning out
that.
in the same plane.
Okay.
You're like opening this way.
More like outward. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm like, woo, but then it just goes backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not
Good
that way.
clarification.
Not that way because you might be creating too much tension in the back palm.
Okay. Cool. I love that. Yeah. And the energy ball practice is a nice way for people to, and I would add to suggest people close their eyes so you can really just um tune in and sense and feel. And don't worry if you're not feeling anything yet, because often, like you said, we are doing these practices. It takes some cultivation of energy, maybe after dancing or training in a martial art for a while or shaking or moving, that you might be able to feel it more. So for folks who might be trying that out,
Mhm.
um, don't worry if you're not feeling things yet. Yeah, thank you for that, Adrian. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
so another piece that you just mentioned earlier that I love is really bringing the healing intention to your prayer performance, your ritual performance dance. Because yeah, for me, coming from an activist background and a spiritual perspective, it's really about how can we bring healing, collective healing and collective change to the world. We're living in this very sick society, wrecked with generations of colonization and systemic oppression, and we have so far to go. And so for me, this is really about helping us as people alive today reclaim the wisdom of these ancient traditions that's actually really innate in us. And if you don't mind, I wanted to make a point. We both spoke that like we didn't dance when we were younger, but I think you said something like, I wasn't born a dancer. I was like,
Yeah.
really? Because as for me, right, in our society, it's very different. But from what I've learned, it's like I really am seeing dance and singing and all the creative, you know, practices that are available to us. I see these things as innate in us, that we are all singers and we are all dancers, and
Right.
not everyone needs to be a dancer that dances on a stage and teaches awesome Jedi master classes like Adrian. um, but like that it's about the expression, it's about the embodiment, and it's about that creativity. So for people listening, like this is the way that I like to facilitate and teach is I talk about it as a remembrance. And that, as humans, we all can move freely. When we hear music, even if we don't as an adult, if we were younger and we hear music, like our body wants to move. It's natural. It's something that, and the
Yeah.
rhythm, the beat, we feel it inside of us. And I know especially like white Westerners are like considered to be so terrible with rhythm and movement and beat, and it's because we've been suppressed. It's not
Mm.
because inherently inside of us we don't know how to hold a rhythm, right? It's speaking for myself, right? It's something that has been cut out of most of our lives that we don't get as at a young age, and then we get, depending on the course of our life and what we're exposed to and drawn to. So I just want to offer
Yeah.
that encouragement that it really is natural in us. And for me, it's about reclaiming that freedom of embodied movement and spirituality that we are. I'm always telling people that you are a powerful divine being. And I hear you, I see and hear you modeling that, Adrian, in that,
Mm.
it's like from wherever you are, in the street dancing or in a monastery learning ancient practices. We all have this connection to energy, and there's so much wisdom we can learn from, and from within us. The energy dance practice did come from in some outside inspiration, but it also was, I was really guided in every dance where I was moving energy, and the energy would guide me. Oh, if I relax here or open here or put my intention there or let go of trying too hard, then this flows better. um,
Hmm.
yeah, so
Totally.
I know I'm kind of going in circles because I'm so excited, or going in lots of directions with this conversation because I'm so excited
No worries.
excited about all these topics that we have so much resonance on. But I was wanting to ask you more about this transmutation of a collective energy and the collective healing. I do that
Yeah.
as well on the dance floor, again, not as a performer on stage, but um, as an example, in ecstatic dance spaces. And for anyone who doesn't know what ecstatic dance is, it's basically a space where people come together for free form movement. There's no one type of music, there's no type of dance moves. It's not about what you look like, it's about just free form movement. Everyone's moving freely. We're not, judging each other or caring about what we look like. And it's a space for healing and expression. So there's often tears and rage and laughter and playfulness and silliness and inner child expression. All kinds of things happen in ecstatic dance spaces. And I could extend that to say, like in a festival environment or a concert where, especially people might be taking medicines. There's a lot of deep healing that happens, even if people aren't conscious about what they're doing. Some intense song might just help people really channel some suppressed rage that's in there, and suddenly everyone's like, wow, and like moving some
Mhm.
intense energy. And so, especially in those kind of settings, I might be in my own deep experience, but then I'll realize, oh, there's some intense stuff happening in the collective field. And I'll kind of step back into to holding the collective field and swirling that energy to be released and calling in, energetic support to hold the space, help our intense energy that people are releasing not get stuck in other people, right? And help that flow and be released to be transmuted, kind of alchemized, like perhaps what you're talking about. So I'm so curious, what kind of things when you say, may when you're bringing this energy work, and I see you now that you say that, it's like I see you doing that when you're performing, and thank so much gratitude for all many, many, many times I've gotten to see you in the moment performing on stage while I'm dancing, and some epic musician is just rocking it. I see, those, I see the martial arts movements that you're doing coming in, and how much you are moving that energy. um
Mm.
so yeah, I guess I'll stop talking so I can hear you. Just if you want to give any examples or share more about what, when you're saying, may this dance, may this energy movement be for the highest good of the people here to support them.
Yeah, totally. I guess I'll start in the beginning. As I became a street dancer and competed, I started, getting into performance because that's kind of like a natural progression for dancers on this path. And as I was getting to performance, it dawned upon me like the power of the performer and how much impact they have on people. Because for the most part, people just think, oh, dance performance is cool, it's entertaining, it's inspiring, we're all good. Those are all good things. But I don't think people are talking enough about how deep it really is and the potential for transformation that's awaiting on the stage. And, as I was performing, I didn't really know much about energy work yet in the beginning. But what I did see was that how one little movement to the certain sound of a song, if it's timed just right, the crowd will go wild. The crowd will be extremely
Mm,
moved. And I was like, wow, so this one movement timed to the song is creating this huge emotional reaction. People are getting tons of dopamine, just chemical reactions happening in the body, all
mm,
through seeing this one person on the stage moving. Okay, that's really powerful. What happens then if I use actual intention and an aligning with a higher power and move that energy with a purpose for empowerment and healing? And so that's when I started to, dive into ritual, ceremony, prayerformance, how to create a sacred space with performance, how to create and move energy through dance. And before I go on stage, I usually have a little ritual before I go, which is just tuning into myself, doing a little prayer with myself, calling in my higher self, calling in my guides, and just saying, for the greatest good of all, may this dance inspires people, whoever it needs to see. May it move energy, whatever energy needs to be moved. And that usually sets the tone for everything else. And as long as I can enter into that stillness, into that flow state while being on there,
mm,
Great Spirit will
mm,
do its work. As long as my head isn't too much
mm,
in the way,
mm,
with my ego or with, my selfish needs. If I can move that out of the way and let spirit come through. And also, it does take a skill to find that flow state while being seen by everybody, because it's so intense up there. There's lights, there's sounds that's really loud, there's tons of people just staring at you, you could trip and fall, make yourself look dumb. There's so many things that could go wrong, and there's so much like pressure, but it takes a meditative skill to just silence everything
mm,
and go within, call in Great Spirit, and sink into the music. Be in the pocket, as we call it in street dance. Being in the pocket is when you're like
mm,
in the music. You're not dancing against the
Mm,
music or ahead of the music or,
mm,
you know, being aggressive with the music. You're like becoming the music. And when I can get
mhm,
there, I go into a complete flow state, kind of trance moment. And that's when the greatest magic occurs. And things that surprise even myself will happen. And I find the greatest magic can occur. And then, I'll be in that trance state, that flow state. And then at one moment, like maybe the beat will change and the song will go into a breakdown and it kind of snaps me out of my trance. And I'm like, oh, I'm here again. Okay, let's move this energy again, and then I'll go into maybe some kind of qigong movements to help kind of circulate things, and I'll do perhaps a pulling down the heavens to ground some of that energy, or I'll do some tai chi to just kind of settle and integrate the energy that has been moving through the flow state. um, and then maybe the beat will come back again and drop and boom back into flow state again. So there's this, it's not full
mm,
surrender. Like there's definitely a part of me that's still, myself that will kind of come back to the intention or come back to my purpose for being there. Because
mhm,
I think maybe if I was like 100% surrendered, maybe it's a bit too chaotic sometimes to be too full much in surrender mode. And I think that's great for like say ecstatic dance when you're trying to just be fully releasing things on yourself and fully healing. But for performance art, I think it is needed some of the mind, some ego to be there to help kind of direct things and make sure things are being directed in the right way rather than a chaotic unfolding. Sometimes a chaotic unfolding can be cool too.
mm. Oh, I love that was beautiful painting us that picture of what it's like for you to be out there and be on stage and the meditative mindset. It's yeah, both the ritual ahead of time and then that experience of being out there and all the different inputs and that tuning into the inner world. Such a powerful practice, and I'm sure people listening, whether or not they're performers in some way, or the experience of being seen by a lot of people or not, and that going into your own world. It's such a an interesting place of exploration. Yeah, so many pieces of that to explore. I love that you mentioned trance state. Again, I'm have much less to no experience being actually on stage performing and more yeah, I'm often maybe facilitating or teaching or yeah, in a space that is chaotic at a festival. Like I will be the one,
Mhm.
everyone's doing their ruckus concert experience all around me, and I'll be standing in the middle with my arms in the air, like channeling energy, doing weird stuff with my eyes closed. And
Yes.
it is so I've definitely I consider it a dance between that trance state and like the physical reality that we're in, because I love how you mentioned that there's that balance of it, because yeah, the practices that I do, I am going into deep trance states where I'm in cosmic energy, experiences, moving energy, and like you referred to earlier, there's sometimes the purging of the energy, and then also the streaming, that divine source into the body, as well as like releasing intense stuff. And yeah, I'll be in a really deep state and then someone like bumps into me and it's like, oh, here I am here. But then yeah, or like I'll have a conversation, I'm excited about something or some idea happened, I'll talk to my friend, and then oh, you hear the music shifting, it's like swoops me in again and like takes you up on this journey, the bass drop, like I have this
Mhm.
a practice I call the bass drop blast off, where the music kind of the rise, I'm sure you know what I mean, where the
Mhm.
music is maybe starting slow and it's like and it gets like higher tones, faster and faster and faster and faster, and then something happens, or the bass drop, or And it's very much, I'm not super familiar with Kundalini practices. I haven't studied myself, but a lot of people, when I share about this, kind of relate it to that Kundalini energy in the lower body. That's, and in the Hindu tradition of belly dancing, and the lower belly, hips shimmying, shaking to stir that energy up. I'll like shake my hips. I'll just stand up, maybe so you can see, kind of. Like shaking the hips back and forth, shake, 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 and build that energy up, 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 and then like those blast off moments can be so powerful, and the collective energy too. Whoo, so juicy. I'm just high off this conversation right now because it's filling me up with so much excitement and inspiration.
Yeah.
And you spoke about becoming the music. I know recently I saw one of your posts. I forget who you were dancing to, maybe Diamond Saints or something. And you mentioned, I've never heard this song, and it was cool to like find it in the moment. I think you said something like, I'd never heard this song before. It was cool to dance to it and just like find that experience.
Right.
And as someone who's done ecstatic dance pretty much as my main dance form, dance practice, you never know what song is going to come on. And oftentimes I don't know 80% of the songs in a given playlist. And so most of my dance experience is not knowing the music. And just like you said now, and in that recording too, there's this way of just becoming the music and surrendering. You talked about that, the surrendering, the balance of both surrendering, but also keeping some level of like, I am a human being with intention,
Right.
doing something on purpose here, whether it's here on stage or whether I'm, doing some deep healing work focused on a certain aspect of my life. It's like, okay, trusting the energy knows where to go and what to do for the highest good of all beings, as well as I am here to do this, and I'm a body on the earth still.
And I do not want to fall off the stage or
Yes,
run
you
into the
do.
DJ fully
Yes.
like break the DJ equipment.
Right.
On
And like for
accident.
me, being in a concert or on an ecstatic dance, like I don't want to smack someone in the face because I'm like so deep in my experience. I have my eyes closed. Like I have my eyes closed most of the time. So I'm not often making a lot of location movements because I have my eyes closed, like you might be. So tripping is less of the concern, but like I get big, and like warrior like sometimes. And I'm like, oh, I just smacked someone. I'm like, sorry, can't you see I have my eyes closed? um,
Definitely has
yeah,
happened to
but
the best of us.
that feeling of letting the music move you, and I often give that suggestion when I'm facilitating, especially if people are newer to just free form movement. And sometimes people will comment like, how do you just flow? Like your arm is flowing over here at the same time your hips and your legs are flowing. Like I just become this one like flowy being. And it's because I'm just relaxing into the music and letting, like we've been talking about, the energy, letting the energy completely move me. The sound of the music move me. And I don't know if I could consider myself having a style of dance except for the practices that I'm doing, energy dance that I call, that I given it that name. But every different song inspires different movement. And I'll just say this briefly, drop this in the bucket, is I noticed that because ecstatic dance brings in different music from many, many different cultures around the world, there's a degree to which I notice different sounds and different songs moving my bodies in certain ways that often relate to those ancient cultural movement practices, which are embedded with wisdom and knowledge about how energy moves. The mudras of the hands, it's all about circulating energy through the body, and a lot of beautiful, juicy stuff. Oh, there's so much to share. I'm clearly really excited about this conversation. Is there anything in all the pieces that we've talked about, Adrian, is there another like snippet or thread that we touched on that you'd like to um, elaborate on a little bit more, maybe? And then we'll kind of hear how people can find you and the work we do. And then we're going to do a song. We're going to dance. So everyone who's here and everyone who's listening, we're going to dance to an awesome closing song as our closing
Yeah,
song.
I would say like one really key piece for me in all this that I haven't mentioned yet is the methods to which to help one cultivate energy further.
Mm,
Dance definitely you can move energy, but it doesn't help improve, I guess, the machine in which you're operating in your own body and the reservoirs of energy you can move. But what can help with that is Daoist internal Naigong, and that has
mm,
been a big ally for me in this path of
mm,
movement arts
mm,
and movement mysticism is learning the arts of what's called Naigong. That's also translated as internal cultivation. And most people know, like, say, Tai Chi or Qigong, but not many people know about Neigong. So Tai Chi and Neigong or Tai Chi and Qigong are ways to move energy, but Neigong is the method in which you cultivate energy and build the reservoirs within your being,
mm,
cleanse your being to help you move energy in a much more efficient way. So,
mm,
ironically speaking, in order to move energy even more and more powerfully and actually have, profound effects of healing and transformation, in this path, you have to study how to stand still
mm,
as opposed to moving. And so, our first primary practice is the standing post. And what you do is you basically stand in a certain way, a very simple looking way, but there's all these like incredible internal alignments. In my lineage, they have what's called the 18 rules of posture. There's
mm,
18 things you're thinking about, how your feet are aligned, how your
mhm,
knee is resting on your ankle bone, how your pelvis is sitting, how your spine is aligned, how your shoulders are relaxed. It's very, very minuscule. It can be really hard to study it, but even just a little bit of practice and just barely getting into it, I was already noticing incredible effects
mm,
happening in my body. And it's basically alchemy, internal alchemy. Uh, and it's so incredible because by just doing this practice, you're going to be healing your body on so many levels. It comes from the standpoint that when you correct the energy pathway,
mm,
everything else follows. Energy is a primary, cause of manifestation in matter. So if you can write the energy correctly, then the matter will follow after. And so that's why Naigong can heal like almost anything. If you have, any even physical injuries, diseases, pathologies, or even mental issues, simply standing and getting your energy flow right will bring you back to balance, however your body needs.
mm,
And so that has been a profound aspect in my journey as just a human in general. Um, but it really empowered my ability to move energy further as a dancer, as a performance artist and competitor. And I'm just really excited about it, and I want more people to know about it because it's such an
mhm,
incredible, profound practice, yet it's just so esoteric. Um, but I feel like every person in this world can benefit from it, even if it's just healing yourself. But if you really like are serious about your spiritual evolution and you really want to, awaken the highest potential within yourself in this lifetime, you can do that with Nagon. It's an incredible deep path, and
mm,
um, you can just achieve so many incredible things with it. And I've had so many profound experiences with this art form, with this pathway
mm,
that I
mm,
just want people to know about it. So check it out.
mm. Yeah, and can you give us maybe what the like American spelling of Naigong is so people
Oh yes,
can look it up and find it?
there's definitely different. spellings,
Probably a
but the
few
most
different
common
spelling,
one
yeah.
is Neigong.
Okay.
Neigong. And I
Okay.
would say the first practice you want to learn is standing post. And you can find many teachers online who will
Standing
teach you it.
post. Pose
Yeah,
or
standing
post?
post practice.
Pose?
Or just standing practice.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to learn how to move
Cool.
energy, learn how to stand. And I just love the paradox of that. And Taoism has been a big
Totally.
part of my philosophy with movement too, because Taoism has so much, paradoxes with yin and yang, movement and stillness,
Mm-hmm.
inhale, exhale. There's this, yeah, it's a big part of my approach to these arts.
Mm. Yeah, you're reminding me, in my, yeah, in my martial arts days, I got to learn from a teacher who really, she's a Tai Chi is, I think, her main art form. And she would just do hours and hours and hours of workshops on the pose, on the standing, on the alignment, and like just the slight tip of the slight, lift of the arms and the space under the armpits and the tuck in the tailbone and the, yeah. And it's like you said, the pathways. It's like, how does our body find the flowing, the ideal pathways of energy to flow? And it's not when we're all like twisted up and bent over and legs crossed, right? It's like in this more open state. And I love your bringing that awareness to the stillness, because that is really powerful. And I know, I would love to learn more about this. And I know when I'm cultivating energy in my energy dance practice, I do a lot of like, using visualizations of bringing the energy in and down to the earth and up. And so I'll use the rhythm of the music to cycle that energy up and down, like through cycling it through the body. And especially after doing a lot of movement, when maybe the song ends or there's a moment of stillness, after doing all that movement and then being in the stillness, those are the sweet spots, right? So many powerful things happen when I'm really doing a lot of cathartic energy work, where maybe I've been dancing for an hour and I've been cultivating all this energy and like releasing, using intention and energy work to release things. Those can be very heightened spiritual energy work states. But then in that moment of like the stillness, that's when like the full surrender, the full relaxation. And I know I often feel this just sun-like radiance, just like, you
Mm.
just become the sun, just like, yes. Like this is the healing state of being.
Yes.
I have some art, a recent art piece I've been making that's kind of shows that. And it's just this being who's
Oh,
like
cool.
in this posture, legs in like horse stance posture. But the experience that I had was really like of, this divine light pouring into me, and I'm in this state. And I often am trying too hard. That's a big lesson I'm working on, is like, oh, I want this. I'm trying to, tap in. I'm trying to heal this thing. I want to put this prayer. There's a sense of like, yeah, getting in my own way, like you said. And when I was in this state that this painting was birthed from, it was like, oh, wait, I don't have to try to be the sun. I just am. And I don't have to try to, let this divine energy pour in and push it out with this intention of prayer. Just surrender. And that light is just going to keep pouring in and beaming out. And I don't have to do anything. And it's that like, oh, just be, oh, this is what it means to be a human being. It's like, oh, that's the optimal state, which we get to for these
Beautiful.
momentary experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully
But
said.
mm,
Very resonate with that for sure.
mm, yeah, it's probably hard to get to those states when you're on stage and do it. That's where the art form has to come in as well. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a different experience than being in your own world in a dance healing dance for
Right.
yourself.
Yeah.
But what?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I like totally agree. And then when you're on stage, you're dancing for others. And I didn't really realize that until one time I was doing a performance and I had a really old grandmother lady come up to me and she said, your dance really made me feel young again. And, she couldn't dance really, she was very handicapped, but like my performance helped her feel young and helped her move in herself.
mm,
And that's when I realized, oh, wow, the performer isn't just someone on stage people are seeing. The performer is everybody. You become them. You are a representation of them. And
mm,
it happens because of the way our brain works. When a human is seeing a person on stage, we automatically activate what's called your mirror neurons. And you will see someone doing something, but in some way that's like coming back in your own body, even if you don't see it or realize it.
mm,
And so that's why I think it's so important as a performer to recognize that it's a great honor to be on there and a responsibility
mhm,
because you are basically affecting everyone. And so, yeah, it's so important to maintain and hold that healing intention for the greater good because, yeah, you're in everyone's field. And
mhm,
yeah, so I just wanted to share that part.
mm, yeah. Mm. That's really beautiful. It's really beautiful to hear. I was thinking of the mirroring too. I haven't I have been feeling the call to perform, and it's really because of that. It's that, like, feeling a desire to share this inspiration on a level where people can really receive it and embody it for themselves. That's what my art is about. It's like, here's a painting that's showing this person with all this energy flowing all around them. Like, the invitation is to embody that. And like you said, there's something that happens, you and no matter what someone's physical abilities to move are, the like you said, the stillness practice, this energy work practice, these movement practices really come down to stillness too, and just what we can do with the mind, with the music, with the energy, with the intention, with the surrender. So I hope that everyone listening who's still here with us, all the folks here tuning in live, have also mirror neuronly. I just made that into a verb, or yeah. Have mirror neuroned yourselves some beautiful experiences and tools from Adrian and my conversation here. So much inspiration. I know I've learned a lot from you, Adrian, which I was excited about. So I know we have so much in common and yet come from really different backgrounds and have different experiences. So this is just so juicy for me. I hope you were inspired as well. And so we're going to dance, and also let's briefly share, because some folks might know you and some folks might not, and same with me, might know me and might not. So why don't you go first, share how people can find you, what you have going on, your ways people can learn from you. I highly recommend to anyone listening to take some of Adrian's classes. I know there might be online, in person, and also go see him perform. Definitely follow him. So yeah, you go first and then I'll share and then we'll
Yeah,
dance.
one of the ways you can find me is primarily Instagram is my main account that I use to communicate with the world. And I have a website too. I have two different ones, adrianlobo.net and my school, the dancejediacademy.com. And you can find those links in my bio and we can get all the links there. Right now, though, I'm more focused on one-on-one work. So if you have a intention to
Mm,
get deeper into the dance path, if you want to evolve your practice, or if you want to like become a performance artist too, I have a program for that to help people embody the
mm,
craft for themselves and also embody the craft for others on stage and creating
mm.
prayer formances and helping them become a channel for the divine through dance for others. So hit me up if you're wanting to do that. And I do in-person trainings and I do online. I have students online that I work with as well. So
Hmm.
even though most people don't prefer to dance online, if you have your own practice already, I can work with that still uh, a long distance. It's been pretty cool to see the methods to which people evolve through this. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
Awesome. And there was a lot of fire in the chat going on when you were sharing that. Yeah, clearly Adrian Lobo is an amazing resource. So I love that you're doing that one-on-one work. I'm sure a lot of people could really benefit from that, and that you have those different aspects that you can support people with depending on what they're wanting on their journey. Beautiful. Um, yeah, and I also do some hybrid, some online and in person kinds of offerings. So yeah, I facilitate dance ceremonies. That's something I'm really passionate about, is holding these containers of a ceremonial space to guide people through a dance journey that can be very deeply healing. It's meditative and cathartic. We go through all the things and come out on the end beaming prayers of the energy we've cultivated out to the world. And yeah, my all my links and pages people can find will lead you to the upcoming offerings I have going on. I also do online offerings, both the dance ceremonies. You might think, again, even more weird to do a dance ceremony online, but it's actually can be really powerful. You get to be in your own personal space in your home, and be receiving this guidance with a live person there that can also answer questions and support. So yeah, but then also the dance ceremonies in person are also really powerful. I have one tonight. If anyone's hearing this today and wants to come dance tonight in person, 3 hour container where we'll doing dance and also some art integration, which is also going to be the general flow of a retreat I have coming up, which is August 25th to 27th here, kind of in the Northwest near Seattle, Olympia, Portland, Tacoma area. And that'll be 3 days of going deep in this practices of energy dance, doing dance, also some art integration. And I find the sharing circles and hearing what people are working on and their personal and collective healing experiences is also a really powerful way for us all to be in this space of collectively healing from, this toxic society we live in, to heal and uplift and reclaim our spiritual gifts together. So yeah, find us on all the things, follow us on Instagram. I know we both have a lot of inspiring content and dance videos. There's some dance videos of or I have a fun dance video of, well, I have lots of dance videos of Adrian dancing on stage, and some of them I'm dancing in the crowd, like pointing at him, like, yeah, we're dancing. But now we get to dance together in this moment. So yeah. Oh, I'll just say I do also work one-on-one with people, so in various different practices. So feel free to reach out if that's of interest, and have my art available as well, which helps show the energy and give that inspiration of ways we can move energy. So okay, with that, any last words you want to share before we dance, Adrian?
No, just stay tuned. Much more to come. It's
So
just the
much,
beginning.
so much more to come. I don't know about you, but I personally would be super jazzed to do another IG Live video sometime with you, Adrian, because there are so many directions and tangents we could have gone, and you could see my like flutters of excitement of like, which avenue do
Yeah,
we go? Um,
definitely need to do a part two for sure.
oh, awesome. I would love that. And then we can really build too on some of these topics we dove into. So, all right, I'm gonna get the sound going here. And this is a song by Closey. If you don't know Closey, check her out. She's amazing. And it's called Micro Worlds that Adrian suggested. So we're just going to put it on. Anyone who's here or listening, dance with us. Feel free to be inspired by our movements, but also do your own thing and tune into the energy, and it's gonna be great. Here we go. Oh, Yay. Yay. Oh, that was fun. I hope the sound came through. Okay for people. I haven't really tried that fully with turning on two things and doing the headphones and all of that. So it might have been a little, I don't know if it worked, but
I had a hard time hearing it, but I had to like adjust some things and I could finally like kind of hear it on the IG live.
oh, to hear the music.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's
Oh
okay.
yeah,
We'll
it would have
figure it
been
out. We'll
coming
dial it
through.
in more later.
We'll dial it in next time. Yeah, it would have been coming through the Zoom probably better. Yeah, it's a little complicated tech stuff, but anyway, we got to have some playful fun. I
Yeah.
hope people got to feel some flowy music, some flowy energy moving through.
Hmm.
And what a joy.
Yeah.
What a
Also,
joy,
to
Adrian.
add, me and Cozy have a long relationship of performing together,
Mm,
and she's like my number one. And like most of my dance videos have her music, so it's like part of my brand now at this point.
that's awesome. I hadn't realized that, but I love Closey. Wow, that's epic, Adrian.
Yeah, we go back.
That's so awesome. She doesn't know me, but I mean, I don't think so. She wouldn't remember me, but we did get to share a hug, and she has one of my stickers from a long time ago before she got really
Oh,
huge.
nice.
Yeah, but
Oh, sweet.
maybe one day we'll know each other. Hey, Closey. Yeah, well, oh, Adrian, what a delight. What a delight. You're so awesome. I'm really excited to get to share this conversation with you and get to share it with the world and share this wisdom and these practices. And my hope is that it's really inspiring and empowering for people. Like we are really just such powerful beings of energy. And a lot of people don't feel that way and don't like get to really embody the wholeness, of their truth of who they are. And it's these practices are so powerful and are there's so many paths, so Adrian has a path, I have a path, each person of you listening has your own path, and inviting you to ask yourself, what is your path wanting, what are you wanting to bring into your life so that um you can be your highest self, your true self, your whole self, your happy, you know um self that can be feel rewarded in this life. So whatever creative expression and ways of spiritual practice that you choose, hope that this was inspiring for you, and keep an eye out for part two. Who knows, part two may have to come out in the next month or so. We'll see. um and yeah, many blessings to each of you. Reach out to us. I can't speak for Adrian, but I assume that you would love to hear from people who are resonating. Yeah, message us DMs on IG or on our other platforms. We love to share this work in our different ways. So
Thank you,
yes,
everyone. Thank you
thank
for
you,
having me.
everyone. Yes, what a
Honored to do this.
pleasure. Yes. Check
Yes.
out all our links and all our things and all our offerings, and more inspiration to come. Blessings to you out there. Mwah, mwah, mwah.